Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. So I've had an urge recently to create some stuff out there in the online sort of sphere and just talk about a few different subjects. I'm going to keep it super basic and try not to go over sort of 5 minutes on the videos, but just some subjects that I think are maybe important. Well, maybe they're just important to me, but you guys watch and see what you think. So today I want to talk about, do you want comfort or do you want solutions? You see, in my job every day, I have a ton of people come in and they basically offload all their problems onto me, and that's fine because I want to relieve that person's pain that day. And if part of that is to offload their feelings about something or quote unquote get something off of their chest, then I'm happy to be a part of that if it makes them feel better that day. Like, that's what I want to do with my job. That's my passion, is to make people feel better, like if that be in the short term or be in the long term. But here's the thing, sometimes when you're getting something off your chest, this is what I've been thinking about recently. If you're getting it off of your chest more than once, you're not actually getting it off of your chest, and what you're really doing is rehearsing a mental story. And you have to be really careful about these mental stories because they can really keep us stuck in dysfunction and keep us bringing about results in our life that we don't want. Now listen, I don't want to appear like I'm some kind of life coach or guru or something that's got it all figured out, but here's the thing, I am happy. I am a happy person. I'm content with my life and I'm really happy with where I'm at as an individual. Now, that's taken me a lot of work over a lot of years, but something that people will say to me all the time is, oh, you're so lucky. Like, you're so lucky. You're so naturally happy. Like, you're always naturally upbeat. You're singing and dancing and whatever. Well, that's not an accident. And I've had my fair share of sort of, mental health problems and stuff in the past, anxiety, depression. If I really wanted to tell that quote unquote story, I could probably make people feel sorry for me, whatever, but it's just not a part of who I consider to be myself anymore. And that's why I want to start making these videos, is to share some of these strategies, because essentially I've gone from being an unhappy person to being one of the happiest people that I know. And a lot of it is it's just simple. Like, it's so simple. You could teach it to a child, but it's the difference between knowledge and application. We know these things, but we don't necessarily apply them. And that's going to be one of the key sort of new messages of the channel, going forwards, is stop looking for knowledge, even stop looking for wisdom and just apply the stuff that you already know. And this is the thing. Do you want comfort? Do you want to feel better? Or do you want to move through the issues that you're struggling with? Because quite often the self-care movement has gone, in my opinion, too far in the other direction now. And we're so worried about hurting people's feelings. And we do want to make them feel better, and we do want to relieve suffering. So we'll say, oh, it's okay, maybe you're drinking a lot, or you eat a ton of bad food and you make bad decisions and you're always losing your temper and you're maybe shouting at your loved ones. This is all stuff that I've done. I'm not a saint at all, but if we're constantly being reinforced by our friends and family members and whoever we're speaking to, even therapists, counsellors, and that's something I've had experience too, sometimes counsellors they can, what's the word that I'm looking for? They can make you feel as if it's okay to carry on repeating the same dysfunctional behaviours. And then if you have a serious psychological issue, then that's something different. Maybe you're not going to be able to help those behaviours, but for many people it's a case of they're not taking personal responsibility. And if you know that you're not taking personal responsibility for your actions, and you could, it kind of behooves you to make those choices. So as I say, it can be damaging if you're saying to people, oh, I keep drinking and I drink every night, and that's your story. I need to drink every night. Every morning you're waking up feeling terrible, you're snappy with your loved ones, etc., etc. But then the people that you're talking to tell you, oh, it's a hard life, we all need something to get us through. That's kind of a dangerous story, and it's dangerous to make people feel that it's okay to act out these dysfunctional behaviours all the time. And like I said, if you have a genuine mental health issue or a psychological condition, there are some things that cannot be fixed with positive thinking and writing affirmations and daily journaling and that stuff. And I totally agree with that. The mental health side of the medical profession exists for a reason. So be careful with that. Make sure you're not papering over the cracks with positive thinking, etc. But for most of us, if we change a few key behaviours, we're going to begin to stop these functional behaviours, and we're going to start to create the results that we want in our life. But one of the things is to not look for solutions, to not look for comfort over solutions. So if you're moaning, all it's really doing is rehearsing this mental story. And we all have these stories about why we are a certain way. And ultimately it is just a story. There's no scientific evidence behind it. Like one of my stories, for example, might be like, I'm a good driver. So I hired this American muscle car a few months back, which was awesome, by the way. And like before that, I'd always thought I was a good driver, just because I passed my driving test, etc., etc. Now, I wasn't, because this is a real car with a real big engine, loads of power. And what was actually the case is that I'd driven cars with really good handling and really good brakes. So when I drove this car, I nearly died about 10 times. And it made me realise that actually my story about me being a good driver is just a story. When you hold it up to scrutiny, it doesn't stand up. And this is true with things like I'm a lazy person, I'm a foodie, for example, as an excuse for just eating like pure butter and gatos every night. Oh, I'm a real food person. Or, oh, you've just got to have a drink at the end of a day, haven't you? And these things, they just wouldn't stand up like in a court of law. If you ask yourself enough questions, you'll kick the legs out from underneath these tables. Now, if you have a belief that you want to challenge, because like all beliefs can be challenged and all beliefs can be changed if you want to. Some are helpful, and you know, in the self-help like realm, they'll call these empowering beliefs the helpful ones, and then they'll call the unhelpful ones or the negative ones disempowering beliefs. But it's feeding the more positive beliefs and some of the negative beliefs, especially if they're not true. I mean, if they're true, some negativity is necessary, because we need to be realistic about our lives at the end of the day. Sometimes a negative place is the best place to come from to find a solution to something. So again, you can't paper over the cracks. And that's why I want to flesh out some of these concepts, because I've read over 500 self-help books, and you know, to look at my life, you'd think, God, has he even read one? But there are concepts in there that are useful and people will find handy, especially if you apply it. And this table technique is one of them. So most beliefs, they have 4 legs, like a table. So if you find 4 untrue things about the belief will collapse. Now, you can either leave that as neutral or replace it with a new belief, but that's like where it comes into affirmations and some of the cheesier stuff that I don't necessarily think is needed. But say you've got a belief as, I will always be fat. So you've got your 4 legs, and you need to do this on a piece of paper. You write 4 reasons why this isn't true, why this belief isn't true, and you just read through each one of them a couple of times. Now, when you come back to that belief, I will always be fat, for the first time in your life, you've questioned it. And this is a belief that I had, like I'll always be a bit soft around the sides. Like even when I was a personal trainer, I was like, I'll always be a bit soft around the sides. And like, why? This is strange. So when I deconstructed that belief, it's like, well, it's not true. It's just a story. And it's a story that I'll tell myself because it allows me to eat cakes, right? It allows me to drink alcohol. It allows me to eat massive portions and have basically zero discipline with my diet, because I'll always look a bit soft anyway, like I'll always have a dad bod. Why? There's no reason. Not saying that it would be any more helpful to tell myself I will always be shredded, but reality's in the middle, and these are just 2 stories that we tell ourselves either side. So pick the one that's going to get you better results. So use that 4 table leg technique. If you need some clarification, just comment below, like, share, send this to your friends or whatever if you found it helpful. But it's an interesting question, and if you're talking to your other half, which I will often do, I will often offload onto my long-suffering and pretty amazing wife and say, just moan about stuff, and she gives me a solution, and it's like too soon. I don't actually want that solution yet. I'm not ready. But something I'm trying to work on more is not look for that comfort, because it's going too far, I think, in our society in general. The self-care movement has gone way towards the other end of the spectrum. As things do, they go from one end of the spectrum to the other. It's gone to the extreme now, where everything has to be so sustainable. Oh, don't start any fitness routine unless it's totally sustainable. Just do 5 push-ups a day. Like, that's not going to cut it. And we know if we're true to ourselves that it's not going to cut it. Or eat 1 extra vegetable a day, or drink 1 glass of water. Like, I've preached these things. I preached these things for about the last 5 years. If you look back at my old blogs, you'll see it. But I'd also have you consider this. If you want extreme results, and most of us want extreme results whilst doing a comfortable amount of work. Now, that's never going to happen in any area. If you want extreme results, the path must be extreme. Think about it. It's the way it has to be. With finances, with fitness, with like relationships. It just has to be that way. It's the rules of the world. You don't get something for nothing. You never get anything without hard work. And if things fall into your lap, such as inheritance or lottery wins, like look at trust fund kids, for example, or lottery winners. Like, look what happens to them after a few months. So if money was the answer to all of our problems and all of our happiness, you'd have these people that would be, held up in our society as paragons of virtue, but it destroys them. So if money is not the answer, as so many people would still try and tell you it is, still try and tell you that more money is going to make you happy, more success is going to make you happy, more fame, I'd have you consider, look at the most successful, look at the richest and the most famous people in the world, and see if their way of living, their way of thinking, their way of being is something that you'd want to emulate, because usually they're in and out of rehab, they're extremely emotionally unstable, and your average mum from down the road who's like looking after a couple of kids, or your average dad who is going to a job and like paying his bills and trying his best, it probably has a more functional outlook on life than like some of these people that are rich and famous and that we're supposed to look up to. So yeah, just something to consider. This is 12 minutes 24. If you watch this whole video, my God, I will definitely carry on making videos. If one person watches this all the way through, then I'll make another one. But if not, and maybe that's not the route for me to go down. Maybe I'll try some writing or something else. But I want to get these ideas out there. This is what I do. This is what I've been thinking about for the last 20 years. Is like personal development, fitness, how to crack the things that we want. And it's so easy, like it's so simple. And even pain, rehab, getting rid of injuries, it's so simple that you won't believe it, honestly. And there's realms of scientific evidence to back this up as well. So yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you maybe in a day, maybe in a week, but I will make another video at some stage. Thanks for watching.